faith in these up and down Rams?
More, and mainly though, Nick, because now they really look like a good shot to make the playoffs. Like they kind of control their own destiny.
They do control
right.
their own
So
destiny.
because they are tied with Seattle, but they beat Seattle in Seattle, so technically they're in first place in the division.
No, they're not tied. They both have 8 wins, but Seattle only has 5 losses.
5, okay,
but they control it because they play them again. Exactly.
Yeah. So, and they beat, they have the tiebreaker right now, technically.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, that's one thing. But also, I like that the run game, since they got whole with Nakua and Cooper Rush back, the run game is better now. Like Kyron Williams, who had a good year last year, and early on it was like, what's going on? He was averaging 75 yards a game rushing the first 11. Last 3, he's been 100 yards a game and over 102 of them. So when you have Stafford, those receivers, Nakua's ridiculous. That catch he made
so good.
on
So
the
good.
back.
So good.
And now you got a run game too. Like that's going to be something to worry about.
It looks like the defense at least has this in them.
Yeah,
so
this was a
listen,
good game.
they're winning the division. And I like Seattle. I think Seattle might end up finding a way to the playoffs anyway. But they're winning the division. And in the first round of the playoffs, if it holds, they'll get Minnesota, who they've already beaten. We can show you them there in Seattle's schedule. And what you're going to see is, well, the Rams have the Jets and the Cardinals, which is super winnable to get to 10. And then playing Seattle, they might not even, we can take that down, have to win that game.
Right.
And so in my eyes, someone's at the door, KW.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what is this? What? Oh,
wait. Really?
No, hold on.
How many acting bits
What do
do
you
we
mean?
have in one show?
What do you mean? The audience might be confused why we have Rams-colored flowers.
I don't think the audience is confused.
They might be. They might be new viewers.
Maybe. If you're a new viewer and just joining us, I'll talk right down the barrel here. Nick picked the Bears to go to the Super Bowl. The Bears aren't going to the Super Bowl. So then he started talking about sending drinks.
Yeah. Well, I was sent drinks to the Bears. I was flirting with that take. Then I had to break up with that take.
You broke up with them, and then you had a bounce-back relationship with the Eagles.
Eagles-Rams winner got it, and now the Rams
are trying to catch up.
So is it over between you and the Eagles?
No, not at all. I'm not sending these flowers. I'm receiving the flowers.
He's being courted.
But I don't know. I'm curious what this letter says.
Nick.
God almighty. What? What's wrong?
PG?
This is too much.
Is this
and
PG?
super weird. Every weird idea I've ever had has never involved lipstick on a letter from an NFL team.
What does it say?
Gosh darn it. Thinking about you with a wink. Hope you saw the game last night. There's a lot more where that came from. What does that even mean? If you know what I mean, hope to hear from you with lips, which means someone at our office or you kissed
The take kissed it. I don't know what you're talking about.
It should be like a football or something, or a ram hoof.
All right, let's talk about this very weird take. Yeah, more or less faith in LA. I definitely don't have less faith in them. I always thought that the Rams were going to be significantly better, especially once they get their O-line healthy, get Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. That has always been my reigning thesis. And then I even thought going into this season that they would still be a legit team in the NFC. And I got a lot of pushback for that because everyone's like, no, defensively, they're going to take a big step back. How can you expect them to be good? Aaron Donald, all that type of stuff. And I get it. I do. And the season certainly did not unfold how I thought it would, especially just because of all the injuries. And so when you have a team that has so many of these injuries and a quarterback who's just older now, he's obviously past his like pure physical prime, it just becomes very difficult to evaluate a season like that, to like, what am I looking at right now? And then now, even when you get those players back, like the Cooper Kupps and Puka Nacua's back, like it's going to take a second to shake off that rust, get everyone reintegrated. I mean, Cooper Kupp did nothing this last game. And so it's like, if they lost, they ended up losing this game. Debo runs it in for a touchdown, or Matthew Stafford gets one of those throws actually intercepted, like people would talk about what's going on. At that point, Stafford would have probably thrown for less than 160 yards, and it would be 145 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. And Cooper Kupp would have no receptions, and people would be like, "What is going on? What is going on? What is going on?" And it would be sounding the alarm. But because of the outcome, how it unfolded, you get to have kind of bits like this. Where you got flowers and lipstick letters, apparently. So I think obviously the Rams are in a really good position. If I can get to their schedule. Oh, there it is. 1 second. There it is. For the Rams and the Seahawks. What's going to be interesting is, does the Rams and the Seahawks, does it turn into a situation where if you win the division, you're in the playoffs. If you lose, you're not, because of the wild card. The wild card race is tight, and the other teams definitely have a leg up and are in control of their own destiny and have some of their own easier wins ahead of them. So this might be a situation where it's like you better win the division, otherwise you're not in there. And so, because I see it a little bit harder for these two teams, one of these teams, to make it via wild card. But again, it's obviously certainly possible. The Jets, I'm not going to be so quick to say that's some easy game. I mean, it depends, or if they're going to kind of shut down everyone and all of that. But I don't know. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers and that Jets team are just kind of. I know they obviously have not been good. I'm not acting like they're good, but I still think that there is that potential for them to kind of just be like, all right, let's go disrupt some people. We're just going to really play like we got nothing to lose and just let it rip. And so I think that's a legit possibility. Again, the Arizona Cardinals, we want to talk about inconsistent teams because, Wild was like, oh, the Rams have been up and down. I mean, we'll look no further than the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. At any moment, Kyler Murray's looking like he's a legitimate MVP candidate and a top quarterback in the NFL. And other moments, it's like, what even is this team? Like, seriously, it's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. And then, of course, it'll be head-to-head with the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks going up against Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, like those are tough games, even Chicago. I don't know how Chicago is going to handle this season for the final couple weeks. Are they going to start to shut down players and whatnot? Are they going to just be like, hey, Caleb, we're just going to work on stuff, but let's I don't care if you throw 7 interceptions, but I really want to work on this aspect of your game. I mean, like, honestly, I don't know what they're going to necessarily be doing to try to win or lose these games, but you're going to get the best shot of Green Bay and you're going to get the best shot of Minnesota as well for the Seahawks, because Green Bay obviously is going to want to stay in this race and get into it via wild card, and Minnesota most likely, again, it depends, they might be legitimately competing for the number 1 seed, right? Like they got like an actual home field bye potential, which can obviously go a very long way for the Vikings. So that's going to be a really tough game as well. So it is absolutely in the Rams' favor. I'm trying to think of like any kind of interesting scenarios where it would be the Jets. Like if we kind of give away like a kind of a tough win, like I'm trying to see if it really will come down to that final game of the season where it's like you win, you go to the playoffs, you lose, you go home. That's honestly, from just a general fan perspective, that's what I want. That's exciting. That's awesome. That'll be like, can't miss TV, bring it all on, bring it all in. Geno Smith, whoever Geno Smith is these days, to Matthew Stafford, right? Super Bowl winner. That would be just a really, really, really exciting game. But obviously, I know if you're a Rams fan, like you don't want it to come down to that, of course. But no, I mean, I think the Rams are still in a really good situation. But I think you do also though have to acknowledge that, yeah, you've won some of these games, but it hasn't felt great either, though. This game against the 49ers was hardly a great game to really be celebrating or having some flowers. The game against Buffalo, yeah, you put up a lot of points and that was great, but like Buffalo feasted obviously offensively and Josh Allen did whatever he wanted. Although again, that's a unique situation because it is indeed Josh Allen. Philly beat you pretty convincingly, and just when you even think about some of the points that you've been putting up, like even against Buffalo, like it took a lot of very special catches from Puka Nacua. Truly special, top level, top wide receiver catches. And same thing in this game with that helmet catch and all of that. And so the question is, if you keep kind of relying on some of these things to win games, that's when it kind of gets a little dicey, because you look at no further than the Philly game, they didn't have that. There was a couple like miscommunications or drops or not those circus level catches, and they lost that game. And I don't think the score for the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Rams is as representative of it. I think that game was a lot closer than maybe the score than the final score officially showed it to be. But there was definitely points in that game where it was like, if only they got, if only Puka Nacua was able to come down with that ball, or Cooper Kupp or whatever, then the game would have changed. They would have converted that first down, and it will change the makeup of the game. So if you're constantly relying on a big catch, a big moment from Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp just to like skirt on by and win the game, that's when to me it can be a little unsettling. But again, to be clear, it's not that I'm saying I'm losing faith in them or so don't believe in them. It's just, if you're coming from a fan perspective, you would like them to be a little bit more in command of any of these games. That's ultimately what you're looking for, to be like, when can we be in more command of these games? They were never really in command of the game against the Eagles. I know they were winning and they were in command of the game early on against the Bills, but if you were watching that game and you're a more like neutral, unbiased viewer, you were like, oh man, it's so good that the Rams had that lead, that they were able to hang on to it, and that they got that head start. But it was like the blocked punt, like there were some of these other factors, but it felt like if you had to pick moving forward, which team would you pick? You would pick the Bills. The Bills had that offense. They had that momentum. They needed to do what they needed to do. And then again, we talked, Nick kind of went off on the 49ers and Brock Purdy not being that good and Debo and all of this. And it's like, all right, well, like, then you should be able to beat the 49ers in a significantly more dominant fashion. And the reality was the score was 9-6 until the final seconds of the game. That's a tough one. So again, just trying to get like a full 360 degrees view of this team and what they're capable of. But I definitely 1000% agree. Like, nobody's going to want to face the Rams in the playoffs, whether you're the Lions, the Eagles, the Vikings. Like, it should make you uncomfortable just hearing Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Just that alone should make you unsettled. It should. And now the run game is going, tight end coming back. Like, all of those situations are boding very well for the Rams. And when you have that level of experience and level of play, they're always going to be a team that you're just like not excited to face. If you're a playoff team, like a top seed, you want to face the Seahawks. You want to face the Commanders, right? You don't want to face the Rams. So actually, like, the worst case scenario for these other teams is the Rams getting in the wild card, being in the 7 seed, 6 seed, or whatever, and then having to face one of these higher teams, because you would make the argument that the Rams are actually misseeded and should be higher. And now it's like you're actually in a worse situation to be a top seed to have to face them in the first place. But we will see how it all unfolds. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Los Angeles Rams defeating the Niners 12-6, improving to 8-6? Do you have more or less faith in them? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.